Hey my friends, how's it going? It's Ultimus, and today's video, as promised in before videos recorded, it's going to be a little bit different. I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of an introduction, since we've been at this for almost 2 years now, as to who I am. I realize that it's been this long, and I've really never done a formal introduction or talking about who I am and what I do. So, if you guys are interested in this sort of thing, I know sometimes it's kind of fun to get to know a little bit about your YouTubers that you follow and watch, and just to kind of see what they're all about, because you can, I think, get a feel for why they do certain things when it comes to video releases, creative angles, their interest, all that kind of stuff. So, if this is your kind of video, hope you guys enjoy. Start off with first things first. My name is Tanner. I am from Southern California. I am married. I have a job as a barista. Outside of YouTubing, I do not do YouTubing at all from the stance of monetary gain. This is purely a hobby at this point in time. So I'm definitely filling in the gaps and having some fun creatively with it. I've been playing World of Warcraft since the spring of 2006, if my math is correct. I've been gaming since I was about 4 years old. My first introduction to anything video game related was a game by the name of Hardball on the Sega Genesis. I very soon after that discovered Sonic the Hedgehog, and everything was downhill or uphill depending on your perspective from there. I've been seriously playing video games ever since then. I literally had a gnarly Sonic the Hedgehog addiction. It was all I would play. Until I got into Pokemon. I saved up my money and bought my own Game Boy, and my parents gifted me Pokemon Blue, and I was just addicted to it. I loved it. It was my first introduction to anything remotely RPG-esque, and that's pretty much all I played until I discovered Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros., my first appeal to it was the fact that Pikachu was in the game, and if I could beat the snot out of people as Pikachu, then sign me up. And then through that, I discovered characters like Link and Fox McCloud and all these other wonderful characters such as Kirby. I already knew who Mario was, but I was never a big Mario player. I was always very strictly Sega. And so through that, I discovered games like Star Fox, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, of which I played very heavily when I did get a Nintendo 64. I was so enthralled and enamored with The Legend of Zelda when it came out, and I got to play the Ocarina of Time, that I beat the game about 15 times, I think was my record. During the first summer, I got a hold of it, and I got so good at it that I could basically speedrun it and 100% it without any guides at all. Just did it all from memory. I just had so much fun reliving that story, and to this day, anytime I hear music from that game, it invokes emotions in me that I didn't know I had. From there, I was introduced to Final Fantasy VII. Told a little bit of that story before. Some of you guys might be familiar with it, but to keep it short, one of my good friends and mentors at the time, we were all hanging out at the skate park that was being hosted by my church at the time, and they were talking about a game, and I had no clue what they were talking about, so I asked questions, and they said, "Oh, we're talking about Final Fantasy." To which I replied, "Oh, what's that?" The kid who was talking was so flabbergasted by the fact that I had no idea what this was. His jaw literally dropped, and he says, "You've never heard of or played a Final Fantasy?" I said, "No." He goes, "I'll be right back." So he drives an hour, I kid you not, an hour to his house, comes back with his PlayStation and a copy of Final Fantasy VII. He puts it in my backpack. He says, "You're going to take this home, you're going to play it, and you're going to like it." And sure enough, he was right. I took that home, I plugged it in, my parents were like, "Where did you get that?" And I explained it, and they're like, "All right, well, as long as he knows he's loaning his $300 or whatever piece of equipment to a high schooler." But I took such good care of that thing, because I just loved the fact that he was doing this for me. But I became so obsessed with that game, and that game forever changed my perspective on games and what they could be. And it's very much because of Final Fantasy VII that I even remotely got into World of Warcraft. I've been playing World of Warcraft, as I mentioned before, since about the spring, winter-ish of 2006, off and on from live servers to private servers, because there came a point when I wasn't able to afford an account via a live server, and so I just wanted to play. So I played on a private server mostly all throughout Wrath of the Lich King, but it was because of that time that I fell in love with PvP. Before that, I was very casual, very noobish, and that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time, and we'll probably get into that when I do my World of Warcraft video, very similar to this style, giving a little background on that. But that's kind of all of that history. I have been a barista for about 4 or 5 years. Collectively speaking, there's been about a 3-year break since. I originally got a job at Starbucks, which I enjoyed for the time, but I didn't really learn and get to know as much about coffee as I would have liked. I was fired from that job back in 2013, shortly after getting married. And just as of last November, which most of you might remember, I was doing a priest video going over some of the priest stuff for Legion, and I got a call saying I'd gotten a job, and I was a little emotionally unstable, as you guys can imagine. I was just unemployed for 3 years up till that point. I've been since working at a third wave coffee shop, which focuses on as close to the original Italian style of coffee and espresso as we can possibly get here in the States. So we do all of the fun latte art, certain things like that, and it's a ton of fun. We do all baked, fresh baked goods and liquid nitrogen ice cream, and it's a hoot and a holler, and I absolutely love it. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see lots of pictures related to coffee and or my latte art. Some other things that I'm interested in and have been doing for quite a while is music. I have been playing music since I was about 14 is when I picked up a guitar for the first time because my hands were finally big enough to get the fingers around the fretboard. But I have been in love with music since I was about 8-9 years old and I first heard Freddie Mercury sing. I kid you not. I was watching the Mighty Ducks and I heard the song We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, and I was so enamored, and I said, what is that magical sound? And my mom gave me a Queen tape, the Queen's Greatest Hits, which I still actually have in my desk for nostalgia reasons, and I listened to that thing on repeat over and over and over again. And ever since then, I've been in love with music, singing, playing, everything. Not classically or professionally trained by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy playing. And so even occasionally from time to time, I will use that as a nice little outlet to relieve some stress or just have some fun. I have a background, and I know this is going to be a little polarizing for people, so please bear with me and understand. I'm just giving you a generalization of who I am and my background, but I have a background in youth ministry. I was a youth pastor for about 6 or so years. Started off doing junior high and then quickly took on junior high and high school. I was so impacted in such a positive way by my youth pastor when I was young that I found myself in a position where I wanted to just do the same thing and give back in that respect. So I was doing that for quite a while. Have recently taken a break from it, a little bit of a hiatus. Still loosely involved in it, more so not leading it or in charge of anything, but just kind of being there to help aid the organization of it. But I will probably be getting back into leading very, very soon, which should be interesting considering all the other things going on. I was homeschooled for most of my life. I was pulled out of public school halfway through 2nd grade. My parents decided that they wanted to take on the challenge and attempt to homeschool me. So I did that for quite a while. I thought I wanted to go back to public high school, so I did that for 5 days, and I realized, oh, sweet mother of God, what had I done? And I wanted out. I was done. I hated the kids I was in school with. I didn't like the teaching style. I really didn't care for my teachers because I really could tell my teachers didn't care for me. So my parents were very understanding, and they let me go back to being homeschooled. That being said, I'm actually pretty social and pretty outgoing. Always have been. I'm a little introverted, but I function very well. Most people tell me they can't even tell I was homeschooled, so I'll take that as a compliment, I think. Tend to be fairly introverted, but I, again, function at least decently well in social situations. I feel like I can hold a conversation decently well. I, however, do hate talking about myself, so in case you couldn't tell, this is very awkward to make, but it feels appropriate. But I enjoyed being homeschooled. I really did. I finished high school in 3 years instead of 4 because I could. My sister and I were both homeschooled just about all of our lives, and I have a great amount of respect for anybody who is willing to take on the challenge, though I do know it's not for everybody. That much is for certain. I was heavily into skateboarding and blading, more so blading, when I was in high school and junior high. Spent a lot of time at my church's skate park at the time. Got pretty darn good at blading too. Never could quite get the hang of skateboarding, but you know what? To each their own, right? One of my absolute best friends and someone you've seen featured a couple times here on the channel, my buddy Zaito, or the Grunkle Spoon, I met via skateboarding and rollerblading, and we've been friends ever since. We've been gaming together ever since. One of our favorite guilty pleasures was always Guilty Gears. If you've never played Guilty Gears, it's like Street Fighter on crack cocaine. I kid you not, but it is a ton of fun. And so we would play that for hours. We played tons of Magic the Gathering growing up, and because of now YouTubing and WoW and other sources of games over the internet, we've been able to keep in contact as we've both grown into our adult lives. So that's been pretty dope. I am a huge lover of fitness and lifting and all the science and nutrition that goes into that. I went through a pretty radical transformation myself a few years ago, and ever since then I've had a huge passion for it and helping people achieve the same thing. While I don't have any certifications as of yet, I'm kind of slowly, sort of when I have time, working towards trainer certification. But due to a couple other things that have come up, like work and YouTubing, and now potentially getting back into doing youth ministry again, that's kind of taken a back burner because I'm realizing I just can't do it all. So I have to pick and choose what's important to me. So you guys should feel very, very loved. You guys are very important to me. I love this. It would probably take a huge resurgence or a huge thing in my life to make me step back from YouTubing. No lie. But I go to the gym 6 times a week, every day except for Sundays, basically, which is when I take my rest day, and it's more of an active rest day because I'm usually at work and we run around like crazy. But that's a huge passion and interest of mine, and I really wish I had more time and the ability, or at least a decent camera, to record enough footage to make gym and fitness related content for you guys, because I feel like sitting in front of my webcam and talking about that kind of stuff just doesn't quite have the same effect. But those are some of the most interesting things I feel are worth noting about me. If you guys have any questions, curiosities about any of the things mentioned, feel free to ask, leave in the comment section. The whole idea of this is for you guys to maybe get to know me a little bit more and get a feel for who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. You can look forward to soon, hopefully, a video coming out going over my history and maybe a little bit of my legacy in World of Warcraft. Why I play what I play, how long I've been playing, some funny stories from the noob days, and all that good stuff. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who has liked, commented, subscribed, people who have been around since the beginning and have been nothing but supportive of what we're doing here. Thank you for being a part of this tiny little community, because that's really what I want to build. I want to build a small community, a place where people can hang out, feel safe, enjoy, and talk about the stuff that we all love so very, very much. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on all the different social media platforms that we have listed and plastered throughout the channel. It would mean a lot, and it's another great avenue for me to get to know you guys, and you guys kind of see what's going on as well. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.